Hi there. Today we are discussing the vintage cult classic, and you may have heard of the 2015 film called Carol, starring Kate Blanchett and Rooney Mara. This is the book it was based on, called The Price of Salt by Patricia Highsmith. The book was first published in 1952 and naturally seen as somewhat scandalous, um, and previously regulated under a mystery subgenre, when it's more accurately described as a sapphic romance novel. To start, I love reading books, plays, either written about this time period or set in this time period. I always um, find them more about theme, or it's more focused on creating a certain type of atmosphere. And if that's the kind of book that you like to read, then you'll really love this book. Um, Naturally, it's exploring the theme of LGBT plus relationships, namely a sapphic one, i.e., one between two women, um, during a time that marked them as deviant or other. It's and it does this in a it's just done in a really beautifully written way. From start to finish, you can really tell that Patricia Highsmith um, was somewhat poetic in the way she's written the book. Um, and she also explores the theme of obsessive love from Teresa's point of view. Um, Teresa being one of the main characters, and the book is from Teresa's point of view. And one of the quotes that really exemplify the theme of obsessive love was, "A wild, inexplicable excitement mounted in Therese as she stared through the windshield. She wished the tunnel might cave in and kill them both, that their bodies might be dragged out together," which ties into the all consuming love Therese feels for Carol in that moment. Another good quote for exemplifying deviant the deviant nature of their relationship, or the way it was marked by other people, is from Carol and Carol's point of view. "I refuse to live by a list of silly promises they'd made up, like a list of misdemeanors, or even if it did mean that they'd lock Rindy away from me as if I were an ogre." Obviously, the ogre being quite the key word, and also Rindy being her daughter and being kept away from her was like the kind of the main driving point of Carol and Therese being pulled apart. She decides that in that moment it's pretty much at the end of the book and end of um, their journey together as a couple. Um, and at that point, she just decides that living by the rules is no real life at all, and she'd rather be some version of free. Um, and not only does this book explore theme very well, but I mentioned in the start of the video, it also explores the atmosphere very well. The novel as a whole is beautifully written, as I've mentioned, um, and you can really feel the the atmosphere of being on a road trip when that part of the book starts up. You really feel the crispness in the air, you because it's set during winter, um, and you feel like the turning of the seasons from autumn or fall to winter, and you get whilst you're on this trip with Carol and Therese, the tension between them as um, you find out that there's somebody following them. Um, it that tension builds up in the way they interact with each other changes, and it's just an absolute mind blowing book. Is really one that you really ought to pick up and pay attention to. Um, Definitely 10 out of 10 for me. And it creates this sense of, like, the only way I can describe it is like sapphic brooding, or um, a sort of aesthetic sadness you don't really get in any kind of. I feel like 1950s books, or books set in the 1950s, um, for some reason have this tendency to be um, not necessarily sad, but have that atmosphere of longing or pining, and it's very good for that kind of, if you're wanting that kind of feeling. Um, so if you're looking for a book like chock full of atmosphere and um, longing, pining, that kind of romance, then you'll definitely appreciate this book. So I know it's been a long time since I've done a review, but I hope to make it more regular again. It's been a bit tough during lockdown, not gonna lie, and I found it quite hard to make myself read. But I'm going to uni soon, which is exciting. Because I've not been in education for a while, so hopefully that'll get me into more of a routine. Um, so I'm gonna leave it there. Goodbye.